Hey guys, it's Neech. I'm a big fan of classic movies, classic TV shows, so I thought it'd be really cool to kind of go back and reminisce on certain movies, certain TV shows, certain episodes. It could be called Trash Talking Radio Rewind. I'm going to start with a classic sitcom that I loved as a kid, and I still do today. If it was on, I'd be watching it right now, and that's the TV series Family Ties. Family Ties was on for 7 seasons on NBC from 1982 to 1989, and it just made Michael J. Fox a household name. It really did. Everybody on the show was good, but Michael J. Fox, who was supposed to be, I think, the third lead-in star on the show, ended up being the star of the show. That just happens sometimes. You get that breakout star. He was so funny. But you think about the people that they had over time. Every character on that show was funny in their own way. I think it was Scott Valentine. I think that's his last name. He played Nick Moore, Mallory's boyfriend. He was hysterical. And then, of course, another guy that I have said from day one should have won an Emmy because he was just so talented was Mark Price, who played Irwin Skippy Handelman, the next-door neighbor to the Keatons. And this episode that I'm discussing today, without a shadow of a doubt, Mark Price's character, Skippy Handelman, is hysterical throughout the episode. And the episode is in the 3rd season. It's a 2-part episode. It's called Birth of a Keaton. And basically, Stephen and Elise Keaton, who are the parents of the show, they're having their 4th child. She found out early in the 3rd season. I think the actress herself was pregnant during the 3rd season because she missed a lot of episodes that year, and I think she was having a baby herself. So they kind of implemented that into the storyline. They're at a telethon for Stephen's news station. Stephen's career, he was a news journalist, or, he worked at a news station. She goes into labor, and the thing about the episode was there were a lot of situations. There was a bad blizzard that night, and there was also a leak in the Keaton house. So Stephen had to come home to check out the leak that was going on. He had to call a plumber. But throughout this episode, Mark Price is just hysterical. His character, Skippy Handelman, he would just say things sometimes and they would just be hysterical. One of the first things he says is, Stephen calls up the plumber, his name is Bud. Well, that's another thing too. Bud was kind of charging him a lot and he wasn't really getting the job done, I guess. So Stephen's trying to make phone calls. He's trying to see where Elise is. He sees on the news that she's given birth. That was funny too because he's saying, I'm going to grab your suitcase. She's like, can grab my suitcase. She's asking all these things, and he thinks she's talking to him, but she's really not. And he just says, stop nagging. So, that part was funny. Michael Gross was hysterical, too, as Stephen Keaton. Like I said, they all were funny the way their characters were. They all were great actors. Put in hairs here. Skippy and the plumber are kind of sitting on the couch, and the plumber says, what year were you born, kid? And he says, oh, I was adopted. Skippy's character finds out in season 2 that he's adopted. He finds out going through his mother's, dresser drawers or whatever. So, he had found out he was adopted, like I said, in season 2. And I may do that episode at one point because that was a funny episode, too. So Bud asks him, what year were you born, kid? And he goes, oh, I was adopted, so I wasn't at my present birth. So you still know what year you're born, even if you're adopted. And it was just so funny that he said that. That was the first funny thing he said. As they're trying to get things square and stuff like that, Mr. Keaton realizes that he's never going to get to the hospital. I think they end up having the baby actually in his news station, but he realizes he's never going to get there with his car. Bud has chains, I guess, on his tires, so he offers to drive him. Stephen's like, Bud, you're a lifesaver. He's like, all right, guys, come on, we got to hurry up, we got to go now. So just as they're about to leave, Skippy goes out the door. He comes back in, and he goes shotgun to Mr. Keaton. And Mr. Keaton's like, hey, move it, Skippy. Just those funny things that show did. They would always put something funny in there, and Skippy was just hysterical with the things that would come out of his mouth. And I'll talk more about him at another time. Maybe I'll kind of highlight his character. Midway, they're on the road. Bud's telling them, I don't think we're going to get there. There's people blocking the road. I just don't think it's going to happen. And they're trying to tell him it's okay. She's still going to have the baby. Everything will be all right. He kind of gives them a sob story about how him and Elise have always been a team. This is probably the last child they'll ever have together, and he hates that he can't be there. So then you just see Skippy and the doctor and Bud open the window, and they're yelling, "Get out of the road! Get out of the road!" And if you could just see Skippy's facial expressions, they were always priceless, too. So now they finally get to the news station. He makes it there, and she has the baby. And this was classic Michael J. Fox, too. After she has the baby, they realize it's a boy. They come into the room, and the three kids come in, and they go, "Hey." And Mallory goes, "We heard a baby." And Alex P. Keaton goes, "We thought it might be yours." So Stephen goes, "It's a boy." And then Michael J. Fox just jumps on the ground and yells, thank you," because he was the only boy in the family. He had two sisters. So that was a great moment, too. That was hysterical. And then Skippy and the plumber come in. They tell him they had the baby and stuff. And Skippy goes, "Congratulate me, Bud. I'm a neighbor for the fourth time." I mean, he was always just a funny character. And Mark Price played him great. And like I always said, he should have won some type of award. He was just that good. And it was a classic episode. That was a classic show. I just love reminiscing about those type of shows. That's when TV to me was really good. Because not only was it funny, nowadays you really see a comedy be what it is, a comedy. You don't see any drama in it like you used to. Family Ties kind of implemented those both. They touched on a lot of topics, a lot of situations, and it really was just a classic show. That was the episode, Birth of a Keaton. It was a two-part episode. If you get the chance and you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really good. If you've never seen Family Ties, I recommend that you check that out, too. Just a tremendous show. Michael J. Fox, like I said, it kind of made his career. He won 3 Emmys. He won a Golden Globe for his work on that show. He was just a phenomenal actor, and it took him to bigger things, Back to the Future, Doc Hollywood, The Secret to My Success. You know, all these great things he would do came from what he did on that show. So that's Trash Talking Radio Rewind with Neech, and I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you soon. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.